Hello everyone and welcome to another blockchain video. Today we are gonna talk about Truffle. Why talk about Truffle? Well, Truffle is a framework that will help us build smart contracts, deploy them to the blockchain, and also will help us test them, because testing smart contracts is very important. Once they are on the blockchain, we can't edit them, so we have to make sure that they are solid. We are gonna use Truffle a lot in the next videos, where we are gonna build apps and clients and all of that. We are gonna write smart contracts in a language called Solidity, so if you want to see my introduction video to Solidity, click on the top right corner of the screen or into the link in the description. So you can go ahead and read more about Truffle in the documentation. Today we are gonna go through creating a project, compiling, running migrations, also interacting with our contract and testing our contract. So if you want to read more about this, you can go ahead and read about those here in the documentation. So let's see how can we install Truffle. You just have to copy this command, and in order for this to work you have to have Node.js. You see here version 8.9.4 or later. So after you do this, you are ready to create your first Truffle project. You have to be in a directory where you want the project to be created, and we'll run this command, truffle unbox metacoin. Okay, so this will create a project for us. Okay, so let's go through and see what we have here. We have a contracts folder, okay, where we'll have our contracts like the one we did before in the Solidity introduction video. Okay, so we have migrations folder. Here we'll write our migrations that will be deployed to the blockchain, and our test folder where we'll have all the tests for the contract. Okay, so now let's go ahead and create our contract. So we'll call this todo.solve. Okay, so now let's first define our Solidity version with pragma Solidity, and we'll do something here. We'll do greater than 0.4.25 and less than 0.70. Okay, so now we can go ahead and create our to-do contract. So for now, let's see what methods do we want here. So we want the user to be able to create a to-do first. Okay, so for this, let's see how a to-do will look like. So we have a struct, okay, and we'll call this to-do struct. Okay, so here in our struct we want to have okay, an ID. Maybe we want to have content, okay, and we want to have an owner of the to-do, and let's say that's it for now. And also let's add a boolean of done. Okay, Okay, so now we can go ahead and create a mapping with an unsigned integer and to do struct. Okay, so we'll call this to dos. You see here we are using an unsigned integer, also here the ID. So in order for us to assign a unique ID, we'll do something like this: to do count equal 0. Okay, so this will be our ID. So when we are gonna add a to do, so let's do a function called add to do. Okay, so here we'll have a string content. Use underscore for the local variables. Okay, so this way we know which one is a state variable and which one is a local variable. Okay, so and that's it, because the other one we can we know. Okay, and I miss an and here. Okay, so let's see. Let's define this. Okay, here the ID. The ID is let's start from 1. Okay, so we'll do to do count equal to do count plus 1. Okay, so the ID will be to do count. Okay, so okay, let's explicitly make this public. Okay, so okay, what now? Okay, okay, we are good. So now the owner. Okay, so the owner will be message.sender. Okay, so the address owner. Okay, it's message.sender. I explained this in my Solidity introduction video, so go ahead and watch that. And the bool done will be equal to false by default. Okay, so now that we have all the information, we can go ahead and build the struct element. So we are gonna do to dos, and here we'll use our to do count. Okay, and this is equal to a new struct element. Okay, so we'll do this, and here we'll pass all the information. So we'll have the ID, we'll have the content, we'll have the owner, and we'll have the done boolean. Okay, so I wanted to make this very explicit, so we can actually go ahead and simplify all of this. Okay, sorry, this will go here and here will be false by default. Okay, so that is that. So now we created a new to do. Okay, so now let's say I want to make the to do done. Okay, so very easy. Let's call this update to do status. Okay, and we'll give it a new status. We'll also make this public. Okay, so basically what we can do here is we can get the to do. Okay, do to do struct to do equal to, and yeah, sorry, we also need the ID. Okay, equal to to do's ID. Okay, so now we have the to do that we want to edit. So how do we do this? We just say to do that dot done is equal to a new status. Okay, so now we have just have to update the modified to do to our to do to do's list. So we say this. Okay, so now we updated our to do, but there's a little problem here. We want to check out that we are the owner of this to do. Okay, so if we are not the owner of this to do, we don't want to be able to edit it. Okay, so how do we do this? We do this with our require condition. Okay, so what are we requiring? We are requiring that the sender of this request is equal to the owner of this to do. So we'll have to move this here. Okay, so first we get the to do, and we check that to do that owner is equal to the sender. Okay, so I think that's fine for now. Let's try and deploy this to a blockchain and see if it's working. So we are gonna use Ganache for this. It's basically making a local blockchain for us for testing purposes. So you can go ahead and search for Ganache and download it and install it. So after you open, you'll see something like this. So we're gonna go and click quick start. So it will load up a blockchain with some accounts with some ethereum. Okay, so now going back to the code, we'll go into Truffle config, and here we'll define a network. Okay, so let's delete this, and here you see the RPC server. Okay, the port. Okay, everything is looking fine. Okay, so now after you did this, let's go ahead into, no, let's first try and see Truffle console. Okay, okay, and let's go ahead into the migrations, and here we'll require to do. Okay, and we'll replace this with to do, and we can remove this and replace this with to do. Okay, so that's basically our migration for the to do contract. So we can go ahead, okay, exit this, exit, and run Truffle migrate. Okay, so it's compiling our contract, and as you can see, it was deployed to the blockchain. Okay, So we can see here that the balance for this account went a little down because every transaction on the blockchain is using gas, so it's using some ethereum, okay, in order to process it. So you have here a lot of details, but basically the contract was successfully deployed, okay, to the blockchain. So now, okay, so now we can start interact with our contract. Okay, first we need to run truffle migrate dash dash reset. This is if you already migrated the contract before. Okay, so now we can go into the console. Okay, and now let's first get an instance of our contract. Okay, we do this with let to do, and also don't forget about the wait because this is an asynchronous operation. Okay, so we do dot deployed. Okay, and now if we check to do contains an instance of our contract. So now we can start interact with it. Let's first try and add a to do. Okay, we'll do await to do dot add to do. So here we'll have to specify the content. Okay, so we'll do content 1. Okay, so we run this and we see the status, we see the from, we see the to, we see a lot of information about this transaction. Okay, but now let's check and see if the information is correct. Let's try and see, do await to do dot to do's, and you see I made this public because it will automatically create getters for our public state variables. Okay, so now I can do to do's of 1. Okay, so you see I got back the object that I just added. Okay, the to do that I just added, and you see here that the owner is this. Okay, let's see which account is this. It's the first account. Okay, so we can actually go ahead and get all the accounts like this. Okay, it's an array. So what if I want to add a new to do but to a different account? Okay, I can do it like this. Every method has an extra parameter that is an object with some options. For now we are gonna use only one, which is from, and here we can specify the account. Okay, we can do await accounts, and let's see if this will work like this. I'm not sure. Now let's see. Account, let's call this account 1. It's we equal, no, let's see, accounts. Okay, this will be equal to await accounts. Okay, and now if I do accounts will be like this. Okay, so now let's go back to this, and here we'll do accounts of 2. Okay, perfect. So now let's try and check our new to do with to do that to do's, and here we specify 2. Okay, so we see our second to do, and the owner is this account. Let's see. Okay, this account, the account uh, with uh, with index 2. Okay, because it's starting from 0, as you can see here, 0 1 2. Okay, so now let's try and see if we try to update our to do. Okay, so let's do to do dot update to do status. Okay, so here we have to pass the to do id. Let's pass id number 2, and let's specify the status true. Okay, so also don't forget to put a wait. Okay, and we got an error. Okay, the transaction was reverted because as you can see here, it's checking if the sender, and if we don't specify any from property here, it will use our first account. Okay, and let's check this out. Our first account, it's this. Okay, and if we check our to do, okay, we can see the owner of this to do is this account. Okay, the account with index number 2, and we're trying to update it from the account with index number 0. Okay, now let's try and update it using the right account. Okay, 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 and as we can see, the transaction was successful this time. Let's check this, and as we can see, the status here it's true. Okay, okay, so now we are ready to go and write some tests for our contract. Let's exit the console. Okay, and let's go here in the test folder. So we can go ahead and copy this metacoin test, and we'll call this to do.js. Okay, paste this, and let's clear some things out. Okay, so let's call this to do, and let's require to do. Let's call this to do, and let's clear all of this. Okay, so I have some errors, but that's from my Visual Studio. Okay, it's nothing actually. So first thing, let's here this is an array of all the accounts. Okay, but we are only going to use 2 accounts. Okay, so the first one is the account that deployed the contract. Okay, so let's call this deployer. Okay, and the second account, let's call this to do owner 1, and to do owner 2. Okay, so we'll only use 3 accounts in this test. Okay, so basically this is saying that we'll take the first 3 elements of this array and assign to those variables. Okay, so now let's first get an instance of our contract. Okay, so we'll do a before. Okay, not this before. Okay, so this will be asynchronous. Okay, so here we'll do to do instance. Okay, it's equal to await to do dot deployed. Okay, so now we have an instance of our contract. So now let's first check if our contract was deployed successfully. Okay, so we'll do describe and let's call this deployment. Okay, deployment. So also async, and inside here it should deploy successfully. Okay, so this is also async. Actually this it isn't necessary to be async, but we'll leave it like this. So we'll get the address. Okay, and now we'll do some asserts here. Okay, so not like this, not equal, and we'll use the address, and we'll check for some values. Okay, to make sure that the address is not something null or zero or undefined or anything like this. Okay, so I think let's run this. Okay, okay, let's delete this because we don't need them. So run again. Yeah, okay. Not a big deal. Let's try now. Okay, so we see that the contract was deployed successfully. Okay, my bad here. So now we can move on and do another describe. Okay, and this one let's call this to do. Okay, and we'll do a function, and inside this function let's do an it, and this Visual Studio I'll need to fix it until next episode because it's very annoying, as you can see here. Okay, so here let's go back and see. Okay, so first let's try and add a to do. Okay, so let's see. It should add a to do. Okay, so also an async function. Okay, let's see if the to do was added successfully. Okay, so let's do const result. It's equal to await to do instance dot add to do, and here we'll say a description, and also we'll pass the from, and we'll use the to do owner 1. Okay, so now let's do an assert. Not this equal, and we'll say true, and we'll check for the result dot receipt. Okay, dot status. So this should be true. Okay, so let's run and see if it's okay. Okay, so do passing. So now that we added this to do, let's try and change its status. Okay, so but until this we can do more here. Let's do should have one to do. Okay, so here let's get the to do count. Okay, it's equal to 08 to do instance dot let's see here to do count, but this is not public. Okay, so let's see, let's do this public. Okay, let's say public here. So now let's get this to do count, and this should be 1. Okay, let's try and see. Okay, it's okay. Okay, 3 passing. So now we checked our to do count. Let's now get our to do, okay, that we added here. So let's copy this here, and this should have a valid to do. Okay, so let's get our to do here. So we'll do to do's and 1 because we added 1 to do, and let's do some asserts here. First, let's try something. Okay, let's do console log to do, and let's run this. So just so you see what's inside this to do. Okay, so it's an object with some fields, the fields that we defined here. So let's do some asserts. So this Visual Studio is driving me crazy. So this should be 1. Okay, to do dot id. Okay, so let's copy this because Visual Studio so here's our description. Okay, our content actually, the owner, no, here is to do owner 1. Okay, and it's to do dot owner, and lately we have our done, which is okay, I'm sorry, to do that done. Okay, so now let's try and run this and see if it's passing. Okay, very good. So now we checked our to do. Let's try and change the status, okay, from false to true. Okay, so let's copy one of this and should change to do status. Okay, so let's get the result again. To do instance dot let's see how we call this, update to do status. Okay, and here we need to pass the ID. We'll pass the ID 1 and the new status is true. Okay, so basically we'll check us here that the status of the transaction is true. Okay, and also we can do something else. We can get the to do like this, and we can check the status like this. Okay, so let's try and see. Okay, we have a problem. Let's see. The transaction was reverted. Okay, because we need to specify the right account. Okay, so the right account is to do owner 1. Okay, because it was using the deployer account. Okay, let's try again. And okay, passing, very good. Okay, so now let's try and make a failing test. Okay, so basically what we did before should not change to do, and here we should spell it correctly. We'll remove this, and now actually let's try and use the second account. Okay, and how we'll do this, we'll do a try catch. Okay, and here we'll have an error. So basically we are trying to update the status of this to do. Okay, and if it can't update it, it will go here. So basically here we can do a throw. Okay, because if it's going to continue here, that means that the test should fail, and if we throw an error here, the test will fail. Okay, so let's try and run this as it is. Okay, because now it should pass. Okay, everything passing. So here we can console log the error. It's saying reported, and that error that you've seen before. Okay, so yeah, basically that's it here. If we try and change the account to 1, okay, so the correct one, the test should fail. And it's not failing. Why it's not failing? Oh. Okay, not working. And if we change this to 2 again, okay, so this time should enter the catch. Okay, passing. So basically what I'm doing here, I'm throwing an error, but because this is a try catch, it will catch the the error and go inside here. So if the error is null, okay, so what I'm throwing here, I throw another error, okay, so this will make the test to fail.